All right, guys, I'm back and better than ever, I guess you could say. I've been out for quite some time now. YouTube videos haven't really come out. I've done a couple of live videos with Chris and James and the other guys over at Spirit Addicts, but just trying to get back into the swing of things with my YouTube videos, and it's been kind of hard lately. But no better way to do it than the Florida State Miami matchup. I absolutely despise Miami. And the fact that they're coming into this matchup 4-4, they've had some uninspiring performances against teams, even like last week, Virginia, 14-12 in a double, actually a fourth overtime finish there. It was just a weird kind of situation. Nobody seemed like they wanted to be there. And I don't even think Virginia wanted to be there, much less Miami. They come off a Duke loss that they had, and it was just kind of an uninspiring performance. They had the close win against Virginia Tech. They turned around and had a loss against North Carolina, loss against Middle Tennessee State. We all know about that one. And then the infamous Jimbo Fisher loss there. But just overall, this season really hasn't gone how Mario Cristobal thought it would. And I've kind of alluded to this before. I think Mario Cristobal is a tremendous recruiter, one of the best recruiters in the country. I think he works very hard at what he does on the recruiting trail. You saw it with Camardi McLean as he got them away from the Florida Gators at that point. And you're seeing the fruits of his labor on the recruiting trail. But on the field, it's been kind of dicey. You've seen Tyler Van Dyke's been down with an injury lately. And you've seen Jake Garcia, Chikari Brown. There's been a couple of guys that have come in to try to spell that Van Dyke situation there. And Van Dyke is a top ACC quarterback, top 3, top 5, and he's been an effective weapon for them when he's been healthy. But the problem is this team is not very good when he's not there. And you saw it last week. Jake Garcia had 15 for 29, 125 yards, very uninspiring at this point. Henry Parrish is another guy at running back who I really, really like. He had 25 carries for 115 yards. And then a guy like, Jalen Knighton, I thought was a guy that could have been utilized a little bit later, but he just hasn't been utilized this season. You're kind of seeing that situation kind of go down the drain a little bit for Miami there. The one good thing is, before the season, I really didn't know who at the wide receiver position was going to step up for them because Charleston Rambo was a guy that I really, really enjoyed and thought he had a lot of potential. He went to the NFL. Next thing you know, they're trying to figure out different ways to be there. Now, they had Parrish there. They had Will Mallory, who I think is a really, really good tight end. Colby Young stepped up and kind of emerged as that option later on. He's a 6'5" receiver, 215 pounds. He's kind of been the go-to threat for and the safety blanket for this Miami offense going forward there. But really, offensively speaking, they really don't have a whole lot there. I think their defense is aggressive. I think they come downhill very, very quickly. In the last game, they had 5 sacks for 11 tackles for loss. So I think that's very important there. Winter Taylor is a guy I think that's going to be a really, really good player at the next level. He was very disruptive in this game. He had 4 tackles for loss, a sack and a half. I thought he was kind of beneficial into what they do. But just overall, this is a game where Florida State's going into a night environment. ACC Network, everybody's going to be watching at that point. And you're going into a Doak South environment. Yes, I said Doak South because Hard Rock Stadium has been primarily Florida State in this regard because their fans never really show up as much. It's kind of disappointing to see because I think Mario Cristobal has this team kind of trending in the right direction in terms of developing and getting these guys recruited in and getting this promise for this second year. Hopefully it doesn't turn out to be another situation like we had in Tallahassee where the head coach is recruiting very well, and then some things happen at the very end, and kind of the demise for him came out. But I don't think they would ever fire him after 1 year. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's going to stick around for a couple of years at least. But just overall, I think Miami and Florida State, I think it's going to be a heated battle. I think the line right now is at 9 points, 8.5, somewhere in that range. And I think that's about right. I mean, everybody thinks about, Miami struggled the last couple of games. They've lost to Duke, Middle Tennessee State. They've had these tough losses. But really, when you look at it, rivalry games, they always play hard against Florida State. I mean, that's never changed for Miami. This is their quote-unquote Super Bowl at this point because they have to ride the ship some way because if they lose to Florida State, they have a game against Clemson and also Pittsburgh on the docket. They also have Georgia Tech also, and you saw what happened when Florida State played Georgia Tech. The good news is Florida State's kind of getting that momentum back. Now, you saw with the 3-game losing streak against Wake Forest, NC State, and also Clemson, while we shouldn't have lost to NC State at this point with a backup quarterback, there's some thoughts that come through this fan base's head at some points where we have to win these ball games. We cannot let Miami stick around because if we do, they're going to be able to generate some pressure on us. And then next thing you know, we're going to look back at this loss or even a close win and say, wow, if some things went our way at certain times, man, this game could have been a blowout. And this is what it spells to be as a blowout. I think this team has the potential to be a blowout, but the problem is you cannot have mistakes inside the goal line on offense. You cannot have those second half defensive lapses that you had in previous games. There's just some certain things that you have to kind of clean up. And I think it's really good because I know a lot of people are kind of going in and out of the Georgia Tech aspect. I know we beat them by 25, and I know that was a dominant win early on, especially against an offense that was kind of without its quarterback. They were playing two quarterbacks at one time, and it was just a lot going on in that Georgia Tech game. You saw some goal line kind of failures there. You saw the Lawrenceville Philly Wildcat that he fumbled, and Jordan Travis had to hawk him down to be able to tackle him and force him to a field goal. There were some certain things there that you have to clean up. We had 3 turnovers. So really, when you're looking at it, if Florida State plays a clean game, they had 13 penalties in the game for over 100 yards. That's something you have to clean up also. You have to play discipline in these kind of games. You can't let your emotions take too much of the blame. And Mike Norvell, the last time that he went to try to play Coral Gables, he was out with COVID. So he wasn't able to practice all that week, and he wasn't able to coach in the game. And you saw what happened. We lost 52-10. It was a very rough game. Let's just say that. And last year, we all know about the 4th and 14 conversion to set it up for Florida State to win that game in such a hostile environment over there with Doak Campbell Stadium. I think the fans are rocking in that game against Miami. I thought it was just a really good environment for us, and I thought that was something that springboarded us to the next level. Fortunately, we lost to Florida at the end of the year, not to go bowl eligible. But I think this is a time where you can be able to beat Miami, go 6-3. You got all those recruits that are coming up to visit during that game, and you can kind of generate some momentum on the trail and kind of take some of that buzz off of Miami at that point and do that. But if you lose to him, it's just a whole different can of worms that you're going to. Now, Tyler Van Dyke, he was practicing this past week. Mario Cristobal alluded to that, but he didn't really know his status going up to this week. He's wanting to make him available, but we'll see how that goes. Trayshawn Ward is a guy that Mike Norvell said that it's going to be available pretty much unless there's a major setback to where he has to sit out this game. He was almost going to play against Georgia Tech, but he really didn't want to risk that situation. You've already got guys like Trey Benson, who I think is a quality back. You saw Lawrenceville Philly play well, minus the 2 fumbles. I thought there was a lot of great things going on there, but you just really have to pay attention to everything and not take everything for granted. I mean, this is a Miami team that's going to be hungry to get 5-4 and get back into this mix of the ACC schools, get bowl eligible, and get back on the right track in front of their first-year head coach and try to gain some momentum going into the offseason. Now, I think this is where Mike Norvell really has to focus in. He has to understand that Jordan Travis is going to have to utilize in this game throughout his legs. And I think this is a game where, just like Clemson, he saw that big carry against Clemson with Jordan Travis where he had a 70-yard run. I thought there was some good factors in there that you can be able to base it off of. Now, Florida State really has to key everything in. And I think defensively, I think the linebackers are going to have to play really well. Go sideline to sideline. They're going to have to spread you out a little bit, especially with that. If Jay Garcia plays, the DBs are going to have to be able to take advantage, be very aggressive because this is an inexperienced quarterback that is inaccurate at times. I think it could be factored in there. Florida State primarily is not a great rush defense, but I think that's also primarily because some of the rushing numbers that we've had this season have been against running quarterbacks like a Jaden Daniels and other quarterbacks as well. So you really have to look into that. Also, even a guy like Will Shipley, you have to factor that in too, because those inside runs, with Fabian Lovett coming back, I think that was very important with his foot injury. And coming back from that, I thought that was really key because Florida State really needs that interior of their defensive line in there because you have a guy like Jared Verse that's so talented. You have Patrick Payton. You have other guys like that I think can be successful. Now you have to piece everything together and do what you can. But yeah, this will be absolutely massive to get a win here, go 6-3. Then you got Syracuse coming up on the docket at Syracuse. It's going to be an environment game there. And then you turn over and have Louisiana Lafayette, and then you have Florida to close the year. So I think this is a big key. In the next video, I'm going to be highlighting over my score prediction, my keys to the game, everything like that to kind of get you ready for this next game. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I think I'm at 1,470-something subscribers. Be sure to hit that like button. Comment your thoughts on the video because I am super glad to kind of be back and having the motivation to do these YouTube videos again. I think it's going to be a great key as we kind of hunker down onto the last couple of games. And I think it's going to be really important for that going forward here. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to DM me on my Instagram account at NorvellCentral, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, like I said before, and also go Noles.